Hi everyone, this is Nikki Jameson and I'm back today with another brush demonstration, this time in Rebelle 5. So if you check my previous videos on Nikki Jameson Art TV, you will see that I have done some different brush demos in both Corel Painter and Rebelle 5. And so I advise you to, or I encourage you to go check out those videos and learn a little bit more about Rebelle 5. So today I'm going to do another brush demo. We are going to look at brushes in the Rebelle 5 Pro oil and acrylic brushes. And today I'm just going to take a little tour looking at the texture brushes, and I've put these in this category called texture brushes new because these were some of the brushes that I downloaded from the Rebelle community. So if you are new to Rebelle, I encourage you to get it a trial version and check it out, but you should also know that members of the community do create lots of really great brushes for this program, and so I have got some texture brushes, and I thought what I'd do is just show you these brushes because they are slightly different from some of the other brushes in the oils and acrylics, and I love texture. So I immediately looked at ways that I could use painting this particular one. Obviously I can't paint on this layer because I've closed the top layer, and just to practice with the brushes and see what they did. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to open this layer, and you'll see the layer that I use. I added a new layer. I used this quite coarse canvas. If you go into Rebelle 5, there are a range of different canvas papers that you can use. You can choose a color for the canvas, and you can really get some very interesting effects from the paint when you lay the paint down. So for now I'm going to leave it on CA13 canvas just in the interests of time and in this this video, but I do encourage you to play around. If you get Rebelle, play around with changing the papers, changing the canvases and the textures of those canvases to see what you come up with, because each time it will be fairly different. So I have closed my layer below here, and what we are going to do is just look at what colors we've got up here, just in case I want to use some different ones. So you can use either the color wheel, the color wheel here, which is your normal color, to create a little bit of a background. So I'm going to pick, before we go on to the texture brushes, I'm going to pick one of these brushes here that I can just create a background. So the last one I used kind of like a browny background, something brown, just to give something. What have I done here? Okay, so let's put it on loading. I used, and I might use a round soft. Oh, and I need to have it, so here's where you always learn as you go along. Okay, I have it on Paint and Blend. What I really want to have it on is either Paint and Mix or Paint. And since I want to add paint to this layer, I want to have it on just paint. So I'm going to increase this. I'll make it a dirty brush for now. And really this is just so that we're not painting on a blank canvas, which you absolutely can do. I'm just going to put this paint down. Let's do this, and you'll see what I'm going to do with this. And if you're starting a painting from scratch, there are very many ways that you can fill the canvas. Let's go back to this one. Put a slightly thicker paint. This is up to 84%. Can make it really oily. So I'm just going to make sure that I'm on that layer. It's not a very interesting color actually. Let's do this, and I'm going to go back to my round 2 again and attempt to create this background. Now, because this is a brush demo, it can be any color you like, and I'm going to use my Alt key to sample some color. And I'm going to create this background. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to paint and blend and make this slightly more softer and less kind of jagged. It doesn't really matter, I'm really just doing it for this video, okay? And if I was doing a painting, you know, like a non-abstract painting, this would be a perfect way to fill in the canvas, or I might choose to do it in just one color. Okay, so that's the round brushes, and now I want to go back to my texture brushes. So because I've got a kind of dark background, dark background here, and you'll see what I did there is I reset this brush. I'm going to choose some hopefully contrasting colors from this color palette, and let's just start with this yellow. And I'm going to go through all these texture brushes, and I'll try not to rush, but as you can see, so I've got two ways of doing this. I can either put it on the same layer with the background, or I can add a new layer above that background and attempt to do it there. And I think that's what I'm going to do right now. I can always let's actually see if it works any better if I just oops, I don't want to do that. Okay. Huh. Tech, and tech. You could never be quite sure whether you've got it all right. Okay, so I am painting on layer 3, on the layer with the background right now. Okay, and it looks like it's going all right. And so I'm using texture brush 1. Size is fairly large, and you can see I just really want to show you how this adds this beautiful texture to this canvas. Okay, so I think for now I'm just going to get rid of that top layer. Let's get rid of that. I'm just going to paint on the background, and if I don't like it, well, you know what, that's fine. So this is texture brush 1. We'll do something really abstract with it, and I'm pressing fairly hard, and it's adding this beautiful shape and texture. And if I make the brush more oily, and let's say reduce the loading, it actually starts building. Okay, let's just add this in. So this is a really wonderful abstract way to paint. So now I'm going to go to texture brush number 2. It's fairly, let's increase the oiliness, and I'll increase the size, and I'm going to choose a different color. Let's go with this blue instead. So you can see this adds a different kind of texture, which if I paint over it, and here I'm on paint and mix here, so I'm going to go on to paint just to see what happens. So this kind of spreads this out, to be honest. So that is texture brush 2. Texture brush 3, and you can change the loading, you know, you can change the oiliness, you can change the size of the brush, and you can get a very different output, but it is building texture into the painting. Let's choose a different color here, being a little bit boring. Okay, so now we have this beautiful pink for texture brush 3. Okay, let's go to texture brush, I believe this is texture brush 4. I'm going to pick another color, and we're doing this obviously for the video just to show you the texture that we have here. As I increase the oiliness, you can see it's kind of adding a rather muted effect here, and it changes as we go along. So I'm going to go back to paint, just paint, actually go to, let's see, paint and blend. If I blend it, it's going to blend into the paint that's already there. Oh, that's actually a different number. Actually, this is texture brush 3, so not sure what texture brush number that one is, but never mind. So we are on texture brush 3. These may have been the additional brushes I downloaded. So you can see what this is doing here with this green. going to go to the next one, which is texture brush 4. Let's do the sky blue and increase the oiliness and the size. And in fact, I'm going to take off the dirty brush because I think that's what it's doing. It's taking in the paint that's there before, right? I don't really think I want that. Okay, so here we have, depending on how I just stroke across the canvas. Maybe I should have that as a maybe darker. Yeah, there we go. Can see it better with the dark. It actually looks like it's actually imparting paper. Okay, so this is really, really nice, almost like a surreal landscape. Okay, so texture brush 5. Let's go to some purpley. Texture brush 5, and I'm still painting on the same layer. Let's just check what we have here. Let's just do paint only, see what happens. Paint only will lay down paint. Paint and blend. We'll blend in the paint that's there, so you can actually get a nice layered effect. So these brushes, I would say, if you want to create an abstract with just textures, that's one thing. But I would use these, I'm going to texture brush 6 now. I would try and use these as a way to add some interest to a painting, as opposed to just creating, I mean, you can do that, and it does some really nice, you know, effects here with laying down this paint. Okay, but you with any painting, it's a good idea to plan what you want to do, which is not always possible when you're doing a video, because you have to allow for whatever is going to happen. So whatever is happening now, it's just happening. As you see, my previous painting was very, very different. So we are on texture brush 6. I didn't really make any changes to that, but I'm going to, if I increase the oiliness, you can immediately see what's happening there. And you have another texture brush here, which I think is texture brush 7, that's correct. What color haven't we used here? We've used most of these colors. Let's go with this deep green. So texture brush 6. These brushes kind of work if you can make them smaller, but with the oiliness increased and the size increased. I kind of like that. Okay, and again we have our pigment on. I'm going to add another layer just because this is getting a bit overcrowded here, and we'll go for another, let's go for, what should we go for here? Let's go for this yellow again. So on another layer you can see that it really does take advantage of the layer. Okay, I picked another color here and it adds it more. So be aware of that as you build up layers on the same canvas, you might want to drop the canvas and merge it with the canvas below, or add another layer so that it doesn't get muddy, which is a tendency of digital art. Sometimes you can get fairly muddy looking color, but this is just for demo. This is for demo purposes. This is not, if I was doing this as an art piece, I would approach it slightly differently. I am not really adding a lot of rhyme or reason to this. I'm just picking colors that show, just to show you how these texture brushes can behave. So bear in mind I was only doing paint and mix there, so it was mixing it, and you can sample colors, which is a really, if you're going with a certain color palette, it's a nice idea to sample. And here you have kind of a landscapey. I'm going to reduce the size. Oh no, the loading. And then you can just add as you go along. I haven't really used dark colors here, but you can see. So this imparts paint and texture, and I really love these. I really love these brushes because you can do quite a bit with them by just imparting interesting texture effects, which you can change by changing the size, changing the brush type, changing the bristles, changing the oiliness, and so on and so forth. So you can really do a lot with these brushes. You need to practice with them and use them sparingly to this. So thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you found it useful, and do play around with Rebelle 5 Pro, download some brushes, play with the brushes in the program, and enjoy painting. Happy painting. See you in the next vid.